want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad.
Welcome back to Hacks on Hacks, the media criticism podcast preferred by dozens of savvy listeners. I'm Sonny Bunch, executive editor of the Washington Free Beacon and co-host of the Sub Beacon podcast. Joining me on my left, ironically, is Free Beacon senior writer Liz Harrington. Liz, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Sonny?
Fantastic, as always. And joining me on my right, again ironically, is Free Beacon staff writer and noted squish Alex Griswold. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
First up, Robin Roberts wants you to know that it's not her fault she messed up the Jussie Smollett interview. Quote, "I'm a black gay woman. He's a black gay man," she said. He's saying that there's a hate crime. So if I'm too hard, then my LGBT community is going to say, "Oh, you don't believe a brother." If I'm too light on him, it's like, "Oh, you are in the community. You're giving him a pass." It was a no-win situation for me. She went on to say the following.
There was an earthquake, a terrible flood, locust. It wasn't my fault, I swear to God.
Shocking stuff. Alex, does this mean that I should not send you to the cuckling convention?
Exactly, because how can I report on people like me?
How could you?
Big conflict of interest.
Yes, it's a big conflict of interest.
Yeah, I mean, I get what she's saying, that she probably would have actually faced criticism like that if she had questioned him, but the answer is just ignore those people. You're never going to win with those people. So the fact that she's even heeding this sort of identity politics and it's impacting her ability to do a job is not great. And the other thing I didn't like is, according to the piece, this is from page 6, who reported on this, supposedly Roberts said she was promised she could challenge him on the, quote, red flags over the alleged racist and homophobic attack and that she would get new information out of him. I went back and watched the clip. I didn't see her challenge him on anything.
She did not.
No.
Challenge.
Yeah.
It's
really
possible
it didn't air, but yeah, I think this is spinning after the fact.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't this one of the big problems with journalism nowadays anyway? It's not about you. Your identity as a black gay woman and his is irrelevant. Shouldn't what matter is the truth and what happened? And she's also giving another excuse about, oh, well, this actually was taped 2 days before it aired and blah, blah, blah. There was enough red flags, like she said, about this story that she could have challenged him on. Like the fact that I didn't realize, I was just going back today, I thought he was questioned like at the police with the rope around his neck. That was at his house. He's still wearing a rope at his house hours after this fake phony attack. Like, that's insane. And she didn't challenge him on anything.
It is striking, as Alex notes, that this is like the perfect collision of identity politics with the news, right? That it's like, this is, if you spend all this time saying we need to have more minorities in the news, we need to have more, say, female film critics to write about Captain Marvel. We'll get to that in a bit. And then once you do that, it comes with these expectations that you are supposed to have some extra sympathy, that you are supposed to go about things in a certain way, and that's deeply corrupting.
It's like, oh, we're on the same team, and then it messes up the whole getting what the truth is, and also getting completely honest. Quote unquote, is what she said about this interview. No, this isn't completely honest. What's honest is they knew each other. Of course, he wanted her to do the interview. She did a cameo for Empire, which, in fact, she's a much tougher journalist than that. And he was a much better actor in real life. If you go back and watch that clip from the actual show.
She might not be a journalist, but she plays one on TV.
Exactly.
All right, next up, we're going to talk about Jane Mayer, the New Yorker writer extraordinaire. She's out with a huge new piece on the Fox News channel. Amongst the charges, the network is too friendly to Donald Trump now that Roger Ailes is out of the picture. And that it went as far as to spike a story on Trump and Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. Let's listen to her discuss this story with Andrea Mitchell for a moment, shall we?
Let me ask you about the debate, that first Republican debate, where Fox, according to your reporting, leaked debate questions that Megyn Kelly was going to ask. We don't have any idea whether she was aware of this. Perhaps not aware
I think
at all.
she was not aware of it. Is my sense.
But
from
leaked the
reporting around
questions
it.
to the,
But
to the candidate.
Yeah, and so Megyn Kelly asked a sort of famously tough question of Trump in the debates, and according to several sources at Fox, Trump was tipped off in advance to this. And we do know for sure that he called Fox the day before the debate, and he was agitated and was upset that he heard there was going to be a tough question. He spoke to someone, and according to two sources who were Fox insiders, one of whom there's also an eyewitness, that Ailes tipped off Trump to that
The
question.
late Roger Ailes, then in charge.
Okay, Mayer suggests that the relationship between Fox and the White House, where former Fox exec Bill Shine now works, is so insidious that the channel now resembles a state media outlet. I guess this is bad news for ABC, where Bill Clinton's former comms director is chief political correspondent, and it's bad news for CBS, where Obama flunky Ben Rhodes' brother is the president. And it's pretty bad for CNN, where Andrew Cuomo's brother has a show. Huh, Liz?
Yeah, I love this. They're so obsessed with Fox, and they've been obsessed with Fox ever since it came out because they have everything else, and they want to control everything. And Fox, like conservatives, have one thing on TV, and it's Fox. And the reason why it does well is because conservatives did not have something to watch. And it's like, wow, we can cater to half the country. I wonder why their ratings are so high, because they're, the rest of the mainstream media doesn't, that's state-run TV. Also, how can it be state-run TV if Fox doesn't want the state to be bigger? It wants the state to be smaller. It's just.
Sure. My favorite part of this is the subtext that the network used to be really, used to be much better when Roger Ailes was around. Roger Ailes, of course, who was the bête noire of all liberals for like 10 years.
Right.
And he was like the one constraining influence. It's the purest expression of the idea that the only the only good conservative is a dead conservative.
Exactly.
Which is an old running Jonah Goldberg thing. I don't know. Alex, what do you make of all this?
I mean, the problem with, so much of it is there's about 20 different anecdotes in the story. I definitely believe some of them are true. Just, law of averages. Do I believe that Trump had Fox and Friends hosts call in to give policy briefings in the White House? I mean, probably. That just sounds right.
Well, Pete Hegseth also
he's also
a policy guy who has dealt with some of these issues before.
That's my point, is that some of the ones that sound more forgivable, probably. We all know that there's very much a friendship between Trump and Fox News. This isn't news or anything like that. But I actually printed out some clips because I think this really sort of exemplifies her approach to reporting, which is part of the reason why it's hard to take it seriously. Which is, in one paragraph she says, a pair of Fox insiders and a source close to Trump believe that Ailes informed the Trump campaign about Megyn Kelly's question. This is the you've called women pigs, et cetera, et cetera. Two of those sources say they know of the tip-off from a purported eyewitness. That's hearsay.
Right.
That's essentially just passing along a rumor.
Two guys said they heard somebody else hear about this.
Yes. And then in the next paragraph, she says, these claims are hard to evaluate. Ailes is dead, and they conflict with substantial reporting suggesting that the rift between Trump and Fox was bitter. And then a former campaign aide is
Megyn
adamant
Kelly was
that
basically out after that. I mean, with Fox. I mean, she stayed for a little while, but that was the big. Yeah.
It goes on. A former campaign aide is adamant that Trump was genuinely surprised and infuriated by Kelly's question. Which, for those of us who watched the debate, that's definitely how it looked. Yeah. That's how he came afterwards when he started, spitting off sexist stuff against her. I mean, so you have this where she's just essentially passing along what is a rumor.
Right.
And she puts in all the hedging, I guess. But
this is my.
Well, we actually had email evidence of CNN giving the questions to.
Right.
Yes.
Clinton.
Oh yeah. Well, no. This is there's I hate to do the whole whataboutism thing, but this is like an actual a thing that happened where CNN.
But can we also just say Fox is way more fair than any other mainstream network? I mean, a lot of their shows are they're pretty fair. It's the prime time that they say it's
Fox
everyone
News
knows Sean Hannity's opinion.
Basically, Fox News after Fox and
Their
Friends
daytime
and before
stuff.
Tucker starts.
It's totally fair.
Or before, I guess.
It's
before,
much more fair than anything
Sure.
all day on CNN and MSNBC.
Yeah, I do want to address just briefly this idea that Jane Mayer is some sort of unbiased observer to the whole thing because very recently, last couple of years, Jane Mayer was out there suggesting that the Koch brothers were essentially owed all of their success to Nazism. Like their father built refineries or whatever in Germany in the 1930s. And then also she was half of the team that came out with, frankly, the story that probably got Kavanaugh confirmed.
Yes.
The story about how he was drunk in a Yale dorm room.
It may have been him. It may have not.
He may have exposed himself to a woman.
I might have seen something.
Yeah. And I
consulted with my memories and my lawyers over 4 days to figure it out.
Between that Mayer story and the Avenatti story with the gang rape parties with Julie Sputnik, that is probably what tipped the scale. So I do think we have to ask whether or not she is a reliable narrator and collector of facts here.
No,
I think not.
No.
I'm very skeptical. Now we're going to turn to something really important. Kylie Jenner.
God, yes.
Kylie Jenner. Is she truly a self-made billionaire, as Forbes suggested in its recent rankings? Or is that fraudulent nonsense, as so many Twitter users were angrily responding? Most importantly, does the Free Beacon know what she looks like?
Which one is she?
Which one is she? Alex, you have written about this for us. Is she the American dream personified or the American nightmare brought to life?
Well, as I say, she is in fact the American dream personified, because there are so many people around her who, because of the American dream, became famous and successful, and then she piggybacked on all their fame and glory, and then she became a billionaire. So it is certainly the American dream. As to self-made, Forbes has sort of a wonky definition of self-made. Essentially, if you did not inherit $1 billion, or if you did not inherit a company worth $1 billion and you have $1 billion, as far as they're concerned, you're self-made.
Okay.
So she's certainly self-made in the technical term, but only in the sense that like Mark Zuckerberg's guy who happened to be the roommate of Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes.
He is a self-made billionaire, even though he made
billionaire.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah.
Nah, I think this is sexist.
You think
he
it's
wouldn't be questioning whether she was self-made if it was a man.
If it was Kyle Jenner.
Right.
But
she provides a product. She sells makeup.
Look,
Good for her.
This is 100.
That has nothing to do with the Kardashian show.
Do you own Kylie Jenner products?
No.
Yeah,
I really honestly didn't even know what she did. I have heard the lip stuff, like puffers or something.
Lip puffers?
Yeah.
I don't know.
She sells, I looked this up, makeup brushes for
apparently it's very
$360 for brushes.
Well,
just for the brushes?
Yeah, this is
capitalism at work.
This is a civil rights issue. I mean, she is exploiting
I'm all
gullible millennial women. This just makes me sad.
Why women?
Okay, I guess there are dudes probably who need the makeup brushes. Thank you, Google.
Andrew. Okay, so Kylie Jenner, American dream.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Self-made billionaire.
I don't know why we're attacking capitalism on this program.
We're all team Kylie.
Yes.
Good. That's what I like to hear. Now we turn to an exciting new guest, Stephen Gutowski, who is here to update us on the media's gun follies in a segment we're going to call Media Misfires.
Is that what we're calling it?
Is that what we're calling it?
Very
yeah,
clever.
sure. That sounds good.
And then we're gonna have some gun sound effects here.
Yeah, I just wanted the segment to be introed by just random gunshot sounds.
Well, we need to tell people what it
point.
is. We need to tell people what it is. We need to.
We don't need
warm
fancy
them up
words
to you. All right,
Just
Gutowski. What do you got for us this week?
Well, the first thing, there's several things. There's always several things, of course. But the first thing is this roll call article about a fairly serious issue. This Capitol Police officer left his gun unattended in the bathroom. This is
the second time this has happened.
This happens kind of all the time. Police do this a lot. People don't realize this. but they're pretty.
Why are they always taking their guns off?
That's a
their
great
belts?
question. I
Do
guess,
they get in the way if you're like
yeah,
trying to
you're
go to
going
the bathroom?
If you're a cop and you've got like a belt with, it's not just a gun, it's like a bunch of stuff. So I don't know why they take their guns. I don't think they're supposed to take their guns off and place them somewhere else. That's how they end up leaving them in a bathroom, which is a bad thing because then, a little child could go in there and find the gun. Obviously,
little Timmy.
This is a bad thing. But unfortunately,
think of the children
in the process of reporting this fairly important story, like it's a fine story. I think this is a case of sort of a little bit of knowledge is a bad thing because the piece, which was written by someone named Catherine Toll McManus for the roll call, it's got a line in here that says, unlike a gun with a traditional safety, a Glock will fire if the trigger is pulled.
Now, can you interesting? I've never heard of this.
I always wondered how you did that.
When did this come out?
Yeah, I know it's a shocking revelation from roll call here, but you'll see the point here is making the discovery of an unattended gun in the Capitol complex particularly concerning. Yeah. See, if the Glock had like a thumb safety, or something like that, then it would be fine that this cop left it.
So we should explain to the ungunned out there how the Glock safety actually works.
Yeah, so this sort of goes to a larger point about media and guns, and probably just generally about sort of sensationalism in media. But if there's anything they can construe as more dangerous, that's how it will be written out, even if it makes them sound like idiots in this case. So the Glock doesn't have a traditional thumb safety like you would have on, say, a 1911 or something.
Like if you're watching a movie and one of the characters says, "You can't shoot me because the safety's on,"
right?
And it's that little thing.
That's how you learn everything about.
Right. That's how movies explain everything.
That's how most reporters learn.
But that's how most people are.
No, I know.
That's clearly how these people learned about it, because this has been a long-running trope about Glocks or basically any modern style firearm that police carry is going to have this system. Glocks have safeties. They have a trigger safety. They have firing pin safety. They have a drop safety. They just don't have external manual safeties that you flick on and off with your thumb, basically, right? And so, in order for a Glock to fire, you have to pull the trigger in the right way. It's designed so that it's difficult to pull the trigger accidentally, right? So they do have manual physical safeties, but the point here is that guns go off when you pull their triggers, right? That's the basic concept of a firearm. And roll call, in order to try and make Glocks sound scarier than your average gun or whatever, they took this tiny amount of knowledge that they had, which is that Glocks don't have external thumb safeties, and they twisted it in a way to make them seem like these terrifying super guns that will just go off at any second.
Does it have a chainsaw bayonet attachment too?
It could. You never know. You could put anything on a Glock. They have
Great gun. I love it.
They have a rail system. So, but yeah, that was fun. And then on Twitter, another one of the roll call reporters sort of doubled down on this and enjoyed a fine ratio. Who was it was Bridget Bowman, and she wrote, "A Capitol police officer left a gun in a bathroom again, and not just any gun, a Glock, which fires if the trigger is pulled." Big scoop. Yeah. And she had 4,500 replies to 500 likes. So
Wait,
that's pretty good ratio.
Pretty good ratio.
Well, how many yoffs is that?
Yoffs,
yeah, right.
Is that 9 yoffies?
Technical measurement.
Alex Griswold, of course.
Yes, coined the scientific term. Thank you very much for the ratio.
All right, what else you got for me, Gutowski? Hurry up.
The second thing is, as I'm sure most people are aware, there was the background check bill passed this week in the House. And this one is more of a general mistake across media, and this happens every time we talk about background checks, but they bring up something called the gun show loophole. It's a very common and popular talking point. And they commonly say that we need to close this loophole which lets anyone buy a gun from a gun show or online without a background check, which is a complete misrepresentation of how the federal law actually works. Most gun shows and most online dealers are in fact, licensed dealers, FFLs, and so they have to perform background checks on any sales they make to the general public. And there's no special carve out in federal law for gun shows or online sales. Nothing like that exists.
The only people who don't have to, my understanding, are the people who are there to sell, whatever their personal collection, right?
Right.
They're the people
What they're really talking about with the universal background checks is expanding the system to include private sales, people who aren't licensed dealers. You only have to get a license to sell firearms if you're, quote, in the business, which means basically that you sort of make a living off of doing it. You have a store, or you go every weekend to sell guns, or you're selling new stock, all goes through licensed dealers. So they're really just talking about, if I were to sell you a gun, Sonny, which is a terrible idea because you're clearly not fit, but a private person sells a used gun on the secondary market to another private person. That right now under federal law doesn't require a background check. And that's what the issue is actually about. And those sales can happen anywhere. They could happen at a gun store at a gun show, but they could happen in a parking lot or at your house or wherever. It has nothing to do with the location,
with it being at a gun
or
show.
the means, like over the internet. None of this makes any difference. It's
question,
just totally misleading.
Question: if you sold me a gun and I pulled the trigger, would the gun go off?
Probably not.
Only if it's
you have the safety
you'd probably
on.
screw it up, yeah. But only if it's one of those special super scary Glocks. Okay. So.
All right, thank you, Stephen, for joining us this week. We hope to have you back the next time the media messes up something with guns, which will be
tomorrow,
soon.
Or today.
I'm sure.
Another
I'm sure. Okay, now we turn to my favorite part of the show: the worsts.
The worst.
Andrew, would you like to walk us through the worst tweet?
Sure, Sonny. Today is Jake Tapper, CNN host.
Poor Jake.
Lizzie O'Leary put out a tweet saying, "What's the craziest thing you've seen happen on a subway?" Jake Tapper responded, "A man got up and offered his seat to a pregnant woman." Then he followed up with another tweet shortly after saying, "Full disclosure, I was the man."
Oh, God.
Jake, come on. Jake.
So brave.
Come on.
So brave.
That's something else.
The woman responded saying, "This thread was not created for bragging, sir." And Jake Tapper doubled down and said, "Also, I once broke up a fight." So I think he was trying to cover that he knew he was joking, but at first I think he was very sincere at this. It's terrible.
That is the worst. Liz, what was the worst thing on TV this week?
Okay, so President Trump spoke at CPAC over the weekend, and of course CNN offered its very measured and balanced take on his speech. It was CNN analyst Samantha Vinograd and CNN host Anna Cabrera. Let's take a listen.
Sam, the idea of preserving heritage taps into historically darker times, certainly. Not only that, though, you say what we heard from the president in those remarks also could pose a national security concern.
Well, his statement makes me sick. On a personal level, preserving our heritage, reclaiming our heritage, that sounds a lot like a certain leader that killed members of my family and about 6 million other Jews in the 1940s. But on a national security level, the president talks about preserving our heritage as a catch-all for implementing policies that misallocate resources. He pretends that there are massive flows of illegal immigrants coming over our borders and is spending billions of dollars on a border wall emergency instead of paying attention to real national security threats. He sounds a lot like despotic leaders that have talked about white heritage and white nationalism around the world and is putting resources in the wrong place and pretending that there are foreign people trying to influence our country in a way that just isn't accurate.
Who does that speak to?
It speaks to his base.
So, yeah, now just mentioning American heritage is racist and Hitler.
Basically
and,
Hitler.
And also at the same time doing Putin's bidding. I love this because the media, after the 5th time Ilhan Omar has tweeted something anti-Semitic, they call it alleged anti-Semitism, but now American heritage is you're Hitler.
Yes.
You're racist.
Literal
dog
Hitler.
whistle.
White supremacist, yeah.
That's too bad. It's too bad for Donald Trump, pseudo-Hitler. All right, worst print story this week. Worst print online, whatever. Words written down.
The written word.
The written word. The worst written words this week come to us courtesy of the Mary Sue. which is a kind of a feminist nerd blog. It's it's ladies who love
my favorite.
Ladies who love superhero movies. They stated in a headline that Captain Marvel is fun and the only negative reviews are written by men. Shocking. At least that's what it was headline. The headline now reads, Captain Marvel is fun and most the negative reviews are written by men. Shocking. Typing so quickly they forgot the of in the headline. The author also didn't bother to change the text of the story, which still reads, it is telling that every negative review of the movie was written by a man. Now, of course, this is false. It's just not true. It's literally, you go to Rotten Tomatoes, which is a very easy website to access. It's just Rotten Tomatoes.
We need a fake news soundbite to play when we talk about fake news.
And you can look at who has reviewed the movie positively and negatively. And I've done this. I've done some real research on this topic. Thus far, Rotten Tomatoes has counted 141 reviews. Of those, 23 are rotten. Of those 23, 6 were written by women. So more than 1/4 of the negative reviews written by women. Gender traitors.
But you're a man, Sonny. Did you like it?
I'm a man. I did not like it.
Proof.
No.
Sexist.
You know what? I want to read that full quote, though, because I think there's a great point to be made from it. Look, I get it. It isn't for everyone, but it is telling that every negative review of the movie was written by a man. Let's backtrack. So if it's not for everyone, it's okay that there are negative reviews in general.
Yes.
And more to the point, if you have men who like the movie and also don't like the movie, and you have women who don't like the movie, or who only like the movie, supposedly that's what she thought happened, isn't that an indictment of the female critics? Like, wouldn't you expect some of them to give negative reviews if it isn't for everyone?
Well, this gets us back to the Robin Roberts.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
It ruins everything. Identity politics.
If you create this situation where you're demanding more female critics, and those female critics do not fall lockstep in support of whatever thing is being pushed in whatever week. Are they just gender traitors? Are they what is?
And I think that's the point of this. They want to shame you and to everyone supporting this whatever. Is it like an agenda movie, or is it? Why are they?
It often look. I'll be talking more about this on the Sub Beacon next week, not this week. But the movie does often feel like a feminist blog post. There's a lot of girl power.
Why can't you just write good well-rounded characters regardless of gender, and you'll have a good movie, and then everyone will like it.
They did it. Wonder Woman is so much better than Captain Marvel.
Right, it's not like jamming something down your throat about some stupid political agenda. They need to stop trying to make these lady movies happen.
They should just stop making lady movies.
Yeah, I think so.
I agree. Thank you. This comes from the lady on our panel, so that means it's true.
It's true.
Annihilation was good. That was a lady movie.
Kutaski, I said you'll talk when you're spoken to. Of course, we at the Free Beacon aren't perfect. We mess up sometimes. We make mistakes. So the worst of the Beacon this week is, once again, Alex Griswold. Alex, what have you done this time?
Oh, boy, reigning champ. Honestly, I would probably be runner-up this week, too, because people were legitimately angry about that Cory Booker thing. When I made fun of the fact that he didn't know what went into a margarita.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Long Island iced tea.
Who are you to judge someone else's alcohol taste?
Yes.
Given
leads us into
photographic images that we saw.
Okay, so look, there was like a panel.
Like Robin Roberts.
There was a panel at CPAC. It was like 4 ladies, bi ladies, that sort of thing. And if you went, you got a free Cosmopolitan.
Ooh.
So I'm not the sort of man to turn down free alcohol. So of course I went. And yeah, I drank a Cosmo. And yeah, people took a picture of it. And yeah, it's on the internet forever. What's the big deal? So I had a Cosmo. So I had a little girly pink Cosmo.
We at the Free Beacon.
I don't think I've ever had a girly pink
We at the Free
Cosmo.
Beacon do not drink Cosmos.
No.
Alex, you're going to have to pack up your desk. I think this might be your last show.
The worst part is I just got done tweeting before that how the DC cocktail party is basically a myth. And then I went and I drank cocktails with literally DC insiders.
Well, to be fair, that's in Maryland.
This is literally the worst.
That's true. Yeah.
I went to an actual Georgetown cocktail party this weekend.
See, they're not a myth.
It was a.
It's where you Beltway libs get together. I don't get invited to these things.
Oh yeah, you never get to go to any parties, Liz. No one loves you.
I want to defend Alex for a moment.
Oh God, why?
What he did was obviously terrible, but I think if we're having a segment called "The Worst of the Beacon," it should always be Sunny. That's my take. It makes no sense that it's anyone else. So that's my thought on that.
My turn.
trying to,
comes
diversity.
around. It's basically
Inclusive.
me and Griswold basically trade.
Yeah,
off.
I've yet to be the worst. I will never be the worst.
I don't want to make Liz the worst because then
that would be
it would be
sexist.
sexist. Exactly.
Well, also, you're worse than Liz all the time. So.
Yeah, true.
It's true. All right. That's all the time we have for this week. Make sure to review us on iTunes and tell your friends that we exist. That's how people find out about the show. Or don't do that. I'm not the boss of you. I'll see you guys next week.